Hello, welcome to the Kabbalah of Adam. And today we're going to continue on our study of Enoch, book of Enoch3, but we're still on our introduction. So without further ado, let's say our prayers and get rocking. All right. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and that you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor. That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they should not bring separation between you and us. And may it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you. And may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor, as aroma of sweet incense, and may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being, and may the sparks of your holy servants through which you revealed your wisdom to the world shine. And may their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel, open my eyes so that I will see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. All righty. So, last week on the introduction class, we learned a lot about science, a lot about light, because everything is about light. Everything is about quantum versus physicality or practical physics, right? Wave versus particle. So all you have to do now is say the wave is Hasidim and the particle is Guvarot. Done. Yeah. See? Now everything now has to be the dance of Hasidim and Guvarot. You have to bring it all back inside of itself. So this is one of the big topics that most people don't understand, and it's translated as transmigration of the soul, is Gilgal. The word Gilgal. And so this is where this person is this soul, and then he's this soul, and then this is the same person. And it's like that all the way through Torah, because if you just take one beam of light and you run it and it hits a vessel and then it shatters into 5 beams of light, those 5 beams of light will iterate into 5 different ways. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Ahaya, and Yechida, so to speak. And if the Nefesh doesn't fix its tikkun, it's gonna fracture out and fractal again, and so on and so on and so on, right? So this now you can wrap your mind around transmigration of the soul if you use your light and vessel formula. Okay, so that really, I think, will help a lot of people clear up, because what we're going to do is we're going to have to see how when the light of Ma, 45 light of Ma that came from the forehead of Adam Kadmon, which is Adam Harishon, when that fractured, then Adam, it's gonna fracture into 10 pieces. So the generations of Adam are these 10 pieces, which are going to be these 10 men. So these men are all a single part of Adam, and each one has a different function. Okay, so it's from Adam to Noah, these 10 men. So we're going to study a little bit about that today. Enoch being one of the main people. Same thing on the other side with Cain, and we see that. And so I don't know if you have this particular Chumash, but if you look in Genesis 5, it's on page 25 if you have this particular Chumash. And it gives you a very nice breakdown of in the notes of the timelines of the generations of Adam. And if you've watched the Cain and Abel series, and what we went through last week, just a little bit, touching on Cain and the backside Enoch and the backside Enosh. You will see that a lot of these names are the same name with one letter change, and it makes a big difference. The Mahuyael and Methushael, sounds like Methuselah. They're real close. And you have Lamech and Lamech, Enosh, Enosh, Enoch, Enoch. So you're seeing how when Tikkun is done, it may tweak just one letter in their name. All right, and with Cain, that Gilgal, since Cain killed Abel, we know in Torah that Moses is the Gilgal of Abel, right? So when the soul that the light that kept going in Abel is now iterates itself as Moses, okay? And the backside of even Moses is Bilam. So it still has its own respective backside. So in Torah, everything is front side, backside. All right? So Cain, the first Gilgal, was into the Egyptian that raped the Israelite that Moses killed. Cain kills Abel. Moses now measure for measure. Korach, in Korach's rebellion, he is the Ruach of Cain. Now, who's the Neshama of Cain? The Neshama is higher up. It's going to be a higher soul. So who is the Neshama of Cain? Jethro. And so Jethro and Moses is just the story of the rectified Cain and Abel. Now, as we get into Enoch, there's going to be a whole vein of Enoch, and it's going to go through the Melchizedek or Melchizedek, okay? And you can hear it in the term Malchut Tzaddik, okay? So we're going to have to understand what this Malchut is as we go. We know that's the 10th Sefirot. And that was Noah, and he was the 10th, and the ark is the 10th. Noah is the ark. I mean, so it's building the Gestalt. And so also, he's a tzaddik, all right? And so as we get into the Zohar piece today, tzaddik becomes very important, all right? Tzaddik and a chassid, a saintly man, okay? So the tzaddik is going to be the guvarot to the chassidim, who is the hesed. It's always a dance of hasidim and guvarot, always. And so Enoch, we learned last week, the word Enoch is the word for teacher or education, right? So there's the Enoch on the backside that taught the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of death, all right? And then he is the front side Enoch is the teacher of the tree of life. So he is the educator. All right? And so who taught Noah the Sheva Mitzvahs? Enoch. Right? So Enoch, Noah was the one that did the Sheva Mitzvahs. Enoch was the one who taught it. So really, the Sheva Mitzvahs Noach are the Enochian 7 laws. All right? So it's really the 7 keys. We're going to learn these are the 7 keys to a portal as we go through the Zohar piece on that. Now, that's just a little bit of introduction before we get really deep. I want to, I think what we'll do first is I'm going to read. If we get through it, we get through it. If we don't, we don't, right? That's right. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read in chapter 5 in Genesis. we're going to read through verse 23 in your Torah. So if you have your Torah at home, this is the account. The word is Sefer Toldos. This is like the book of the iterations of Adam. On the day that God created Adam, man, he made him in the likeness of Elohim. And we're going to study what that means. What does it mean to be made in the image of God? Okay? Christianity will tell you, there's three of them. Well, we're going to learn what this means. If you keep reading, it said, and he created them male and female. And it says here, here again, he created them male and female. He blessed them and called their name man, Adam, and on the day they were created. When Adam lived 130 years, he begot in his likeness and in his image. We're seeing this copy happen again, this iteration. You know, so the language here is very important. And he named him Seth after 130 years. So the gematria of Havayah, Yud He Vav He, is 26. The 5 Guvarot, 5 times 26 is 130. Okay, that's why Jacob lived to be 130. These numbers really, really matter. And we know through all the Agadah and through the Zohar and sources like this, that after the Het, after the fall of the light dimensionality, the Het is like the sin. And we're going to see what sin really is, you know, today. As soon as that happened, but basically the Peshat is, sin is just separation from God. There's nothing, it's not, I did something bad. It usually is something bad or something wrong because he told you not to do it. But ultimately, it's just separation. As soon as you separate yourself from God, that is known as sin. That's the true definition of sin. Okay? So, Adam separated himself 130 years in the river to purify the klipa that he got from the Nakash. So once he was purified, then he could now have Seth. Okay? And the days of Adam after begetting Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Christianity always makes it a big deal. Oh, no, Jesus was begotten. Well, it says begotten here in the last chapter, 30, 40 times. All the days of Adam lived were 930, and he died. So if Adam is the complete creation and Malchut is 1, Yesod is 10s, Teferet is 100s, Keter is 1,000. He should have lived to be 1,000. He lived 930. What happened to the other 70 years? Gave it to David. But 70 is also the gematria of wine. 70 is the gematria of the nations. This is how the whole nations were created. This is why David had to come from Ruth. I mean, there's a lot of formula going on in that 70.
David was connected a lot with the nations,
Oh, yeah. Because he's David HaMelech, the Messiah ben David rules the world. So there's a lot going on even with the nations, even with the Gerim and stuff right here in this piece that I wasn't going to go through, but we're here, right? I might as well go there. Seth lived 135 years and got Enoch. Seth lived 870 years. After begetting Enoch, he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Seth were 912, and he died. Enoch lived 90 and begot Kanan. Enoch lived 815 years after begetting Kanan, and he begat sons and daughters. So one of the things you'll notice real quick is the ages are really, really long, and we explained that last week about the Tzimtzum, but it also, the numbers let you know where they are in relation. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. These guys are up in a realm that we can't even imagine. And they are a realm that we can't even imagine. Of course, when you read it, you think, oh, they're just regular old guys that lived 100. No. Adam was 200 amma tall, you know, or he was 100 amma tall, which is 200 feet tall. Just like the Nephilim. So there's giants. I mean, the stature is immense. After he was Hoteh, it says, oh, he was only 100 amma. Why? An amma is, if you take Abba and Ema and put the words together, it's an amma. That's the union of Abba Ema. That's what he was. That's why that stature. It's trying to give you location, dimensionality. It's not telling you how tall he is, so to speak, right? So, as we go on, Kanan lives 70 years and begot Mahalalel. Kanan lived 840 years and begot, after begetting Mahalalel, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Kanan were 910 years, and he died. Now, the died here is not died like we think. All these men are these are all angelic. They're more light than they are flesh. Let's just put it that way. Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Jared. Mahalalel lived 830 years after begetting Jared, and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. He's our central character that we're trying to study. And Jared lived 800 years after begetting Enoch, and he begat sons and daughters. All the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years. And begot Methuselah. Enoch walked with God for 300 years after begetting Methuselah. We touched on that last week, what that is. He begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, for God had taken him. Now, Enoch is mentioned 6 times in here. These are the 6 letters of Metatron, which is the angel, not only that you can say he became, but that he was originally. And today you are going to know how that works. How was he already that person? It's astonishing. Now, what I want to do, since maybe people watching this series have not seen the series, the complete series we've done on Cain and Abel, I want to go back through and read through some of Rawvole briefly. I'm probably going to go kind of fast because we only got an hour, and I really want to get into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to do. So anyway, so Rawvole starts out with the number one kasha. He goes, "What's the problem?" He goes, "Paganism. There was a blemish. There was a blemish coming from the backside that we've already studied with Cain, right? And because they made separation and union. If there's no union, if there's no zivug, then you're separating yourself from God. That's known as sin. That's the backside. So Solomon says, a complainer estranges a ruler. When you complain, you are the complainer. This is the legacy of the backside. It is that thing, because complaining separates you from God. The offspring of the tzaddikim, or the account of the tzaddikim, maintain union, and they don't complain. The union is the world of the male and the world of the female. He's fixing to explain this whole male and female thing. Is alluded to in the word sefer, or book. That's why it starts out with, this is the account, the sefer. Because the gematria is 340. 340 is the name Shem, like Ha-Shem, which Noah called his first son Shem, means the name. He's still working formula. So this Toldot, the generations of Adam, this we're going to say this is the Metatronic version, okay? And this was done in this order to maintain the world. But if you want to say that the pagan was Enoch, because this Enoch did start some paganism, as we know.
Backside Enoch.
Yeah, and the front side Enoch didn't do much better. But because everything is starting to fractal out and separate out, all right? Then it must be actually the front side Enoch is trying to fix that aspect. By fixing it, you have to fix the backside by the offspring of Adam, not the offspring of Cain. God created Adam from all the good, and it was spread out in the generations of Adam. So all the good is going to be spread out over these 10 people. Why? They are the 10 Sphirot of Adam. If I drew Adam as collective, each one of these people would be a part of that.
Is there a chart or
no? I mean, well, you could probably start with Keter Hope Mabina. You could probably just go all the way down, and Noah is the Malchut. You could probably just go all the way down. All right. We do know Metatron is Enoch is Yesod, and Lamech is, I believe, Teferet. Because that's the line, all right? Because the word Lamech and Melech, king is always Teferet, kingdom is the Malchut, okay? And Noah is the one that redid the kingdom with the flood, okay? And that's why they had to remove the Hasidim from Methuselah and the Hasidim from Lamech. They had to get out of there because it was their holiness that was holding the flood back to begin with. Now, because what does it mean he made them in the image of Elohim? He made them in the image of Ma, 45 name, spelled Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, spelled with the olives. Because the image of Ma is 45 times 10, which is Gematria 450. And if you take the Gematria of the image of Elohim, that phrase, it equals 450. So the image of he say he made Adam in the image of God, that image is the light of Ma and the 10 Sphirot. There is 10 men. These all men are in the image of God that are Adam, because the light of Adam fractured out into these 10 people, and they iterated one after the other. This is Adam and his Partsuf. Through the spreading of this name, the holiness is in the 10 is the aspect of God in the lower Atzilut. This is what it means. The heel of Adam was brighter than the sun. This is the secret of, in the image of God, he made them. It is well understood when we say what we say about things above. And this is why it is in the next verse. Verse 2. The secret of the name Ma surrounded both of them as one. Shel Ma. Whose name is also Shel Ma. Solomon's name is Shel Ma. Because if you take the Milui, the middle of Ma, as it says in Psalms 139:5, if you want to look that up, you need to have this memorized. This Psalm 139:5. Back and front you have created me or restricted me, and you have laid your hands upon me. Front side, back side, front side, you've created this whole thing. This is Adam. Back side, front side. Back and front you have restricted me and laid your hand upon me. They were made back and front, which is the whole secret of this period. But the 10 days of Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur that we are in right now, that's separating the 10 aspects. Just like here in this piece, these are the 10 men, these are the 10 aspects that were separated out. Also, So Adam and Eve, let's say this, the 26 plus the 19, the Milui, the 19 is 45. So the Guvarot and the Hasidim, male and female. And over these 4 days from Yom Kippur, which was Monday, to Sukkoth on Friday, those 4 days is the separation of the 4 aspects. Okay, and then Sukkoth is when the union happens. So, and yet he encircled them and made them in perfect union, which is the secret of Sukkoth. They are one thing. The name 45 Ma is male, and its Milui is female. The name is spread out and the extra holiness known as the Bracha is the joy of children created by male and female. This is the 2 souls will become one. And everybody says, oh, your 2 souls become one. No, that's your kids, because they're half you, half her, basically, right?
Yeah.
So this is the secret of the word makif. Makif means surrounding light. Pinimi means inner light. The first letter is an M and the last letter is an F. Makif. You can hear it. The Ma is the Pinimi, and the word Makif, as he surrounds them and called them Adam. This is why we use the letter M and the letter F even now in our language for male and female. And on the day he created them, this exalted state didn't exist until the day he created them. They were immediately messed up and diminished in their descent. After the sin and the, quote, mess up, they made teshuvah. And they were made holy, kadosh, ma'od. And he said, and he saw the light was very good. The Bible is not written in order. That statement, and he saw the light was good, is after they had already fixed it. And then it explains the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? God is doing this. Hashem is doing this. The separation was part of the teshuvah. Therefore, the 130 years of separation, he knew the separation and the union was messed up. Therefore, the wisdom gives birth from this place of the world. Because there was no sin. There was only creation. Let me say that again. There was no sin. There was only creation. Creation is separating something from God, and it's determined that is sin. So the big kasha is, who's at fault? Hold on to it loosely. Okay? Hold on to it loosely, because who are you? See? You're responsible. Can't blame anybody but yourself once you know who and what you are. So, let's continue. So there's this thing called creation versus not creation. If we create outside of God, that is known as sin. This is what it means. And Adam lived 130 years and he bore in the place of creation the son Seth. This is recreation. More than in his image and in his likeness. That he was similar to his father in the inner, in the Pinimi, and in the outer Makif, that is the secret of Selim Hadlut, the image of Hadlut. 450, the image and likeness. This is the secret of the Partsufim. All who saw Seth saw Adam. They were identical. No nakash. His mother called him Seth, yet it is known that he is from Adam, not the nakash. Which is the Zuhama, the poison of Cain, the poison of the nakash. Rather, the true seed, which contained no admixture, no erev ra, Who are the Erev Rav? They are part of the admixture of the Zohama of the Nakash and Adam. The Erev Rav have no Shekhinah. From this, he was fit to be placed in the world in the concept of truth and stands where truth stands and where falseness does not stand. Verse 4. However, the Iker is that a bunch of people look like him. Everybody looked like him. I mean, what else you have? That's why Jacob looked just like Abraham. And the rest after him are not mentioned. And he begot sons and daughters, da-da-da-da-da. They all look just like him. Because this is the secret of the Histosalute light overlapping the same light. Of the generation that are listed, and he bore, and he named, and are named as the part of the Partsuf. They don't list who they are or their names. They're just, he begot out of Seth. And the rest are, and so it lists the rest are sons and daughters. Only if your name is in Torah is it significant. Why then even mention the sons and daughters? To let you know how the world was settled, populated. And they bore sons and daughters. And over 800 years settled the world. Mashiach is the Shem Chai, the name of the Chai, of the life. That's what Mashiach is. You can hear it. Change the letters around. Shem Chai spells Mashiach. Shem. He saved the world. He's a Mashiach. Adam lived 930 years. Where did the 70 years go? You know, the day of God is 1 day is 1,000 years to God. So that begs the question: who is Adam? He's Yud He Vav He. Anytime you see the word Yud He Vav He in the Torah, it's Adam. This is 1/10 of the Simsum. The sages say, God showed Adam all the generations of the world. But when he saw the soul of David, that was the Malchut of Atzilut, he had no light. The Malchut, it had no light. Malchut, because Malchut has no light of its own, as is known. Therefore, Adam gave David 70 years of life, and David died on his birthday. For God has gladdened me with your deed, it says in Psalms. For David knew well where his life came from. His neshama is precious, and it was the secret that he had nothing. Adam Harishon of the Histosalute. It was his deed in the creation, and this deed was orchestrated by the hands of God, the hand of God. Adam was delighted to give them this complete aspect of Tikkun, which is the king in the kingdom. So when does King Messiah get its lights? When the 70 return. Y'all get that? As it was in the beginning, it will be in the end. We have to build Mashiach. When does Mashiach get its lights? When the 70 return. The example is look no further than Jethro and Moses. Then the patriarchs, the right side, the left side, and the middle were all fixed. Through David, all was fixed completely. The pious king and his chariot through the way of Adam was rectified completely, the opposite of Enoch. Since his children sinned and did not go after his way, it was perfected in Solomon, who rectified Enoch. Yet he sinned, and it will go until the seed of David is produced, which will be Messiah, which will be Adam crowned when the 70 nations return. Who's Mashiach? Adam. Who is Adam? Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. That's what it says in Isaiah 43:11, I believe. Other than Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, there is no Savior. Who is Adam. The seed of the seed, the spilling and the giving, from 4D to 3D. The kasha is not how did Adam give 70 years of David, but how did he get his seed to Mashiach without the Zuhama? What does it mean he lived? You don't need to know that. You don't need to know that he lived. Of course, he's alive, right? Furthermore, nowhere else does it say that. It comes to tell you that he lived all these years in compassion from God because he gave to David in that day. And he showed to have died when he sinned. So it says, Asher Chai. He gave himself by saving David. Adam HaRishon alone is the creation of the hands of God. Everyone else is created by woman. And he makes a little statement. If you have a brain, you get the size of his thought. A man born of woman has a short life. But Adam was from the source of light, Makor HaChaim, which is the term Pinchas, which is the term from Pinchas, Eliyahu, Mashiach. They all came from this coordinate. Because we know Pinchas is Elijah. Even though he was diminished after becoming putrid, his diminishment was unique because he was still himself, which is more than any man, like anyone born of a woman. Like a gold bar, even though you cut it from the bar, it is still gold. The difference is weight, not importance. Do not use with silver or bronze. He was never lesser. The gold of the land was good. Mashiach is the gold, the passage of the seed. You can only compare gold to gold, not gold to silver. The Holy of Holies is the gold of Asiya. That's why he said, take the gold from Egypt. The true Chaim. This is obvious without a doubt, he says. We already wrote that Seth was a tzaddik, and he would be a place in the world, because Seth means place. That is why he is called Seth. Adam understood Cain and Abel was a divine plan, and the world is ready for the replacement. The prophecy correlates with the names. This is the secret of the tzaddik, for he did not bear a son in his image. This is the secret of the tzaddik. For Cain, he did not bear a son in his image. This is the kasha. Seth had emunah, he had faith. Yet Enoch only learned superficial knowledge. He would not look into the matter. He made it common. When you make a matter common, it leads to shituf. If you do not look into the matter. Shituf means you have something between you and God. Christianity is shituf. You got to have somebody between you and God. The term is called riffraff in English. It's a mnemonic for the Hebrew term, meruf refis. You can hear it. Enoch weakened faith, and Torah keeping it superficial, which a lot of that goes on. He began and caused there to be mistaken gods in faith. Enoch is the riffraff of Emunah. Why did Seth, who was better than Abel, give birth to Enoch, the worst of the Histosalute of Adam? Yet Seth was the perfection of Adam, because Enoch's name means weak in Emunah, whereas Seth was strong in Emunah. The learning is right. Weak Emunah is superficial learning. His weakness is only on the level of the nephesh. Weak learners are only on the level of nephesh. Rawvole says, Enoch is the name of Adam, because Adam, Ish, if you put it together, Enoch, the lowest grade. Man. Ish is man. When you have a Ruach, you are a Gever, you are strong. Only when you have all three are you called a true Ish. When you have the Machif of the Haya and the Yehida, you are then called Adam. The three levels, the Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. These, and we're going to get into this, it's fixing to get deep, but we're going to get into, this is the secret of Enoch in a minute. The three levels, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, the Pinimi, or the Pinimi, whereas the Chaya and the Yechida are the Makif at this level, which is just the opposite of what you may think. Remember, the inner level was the Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, and the outer level was the Chaya and Yechida, and you would think it would be the opposite, but we live in an inverted world now, you see. So if that is the most inner level, and we're going to find out that Enoch is the Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama of Adam, which is the most inner, highest level at that point. Enoch is only the Nefesh. So he took the worst of the gods and the bricks and mortars. This is exactly why in Egypt they said, make them make brick and mortar. This is idolatry. That's the code word. Brick and mortar is the code for avodah. We already know that the Zohar and the first generations were alive for seveal years under a Recon Peen in those generations, as we learned last week, right? This is all going on with a Recon Peen. Long face, long suffering. That's why they lived a long time, which is Daniel 7:14, the Ancient of Days. Because of this, kindness of God is allowed and sin to increase. Yet, it was needed in the first generation to maintain the world. It allowed God to wait 10 generations before destroying it, or 2,000 years almost. The entire Partsuf must emanate out. All of the light that fell from Adam must now emanate. This is the long suffering, to let you know it was a Recon Peen. This is the patience of God. From this we learn while all the mentioning of the lineage, it doesn't say they were born, it just says their ages and years, which is the time of the Tzimtzum, using the people to tell the story. In a place where there is no Tzimtzum, there is no time. Tzimtzum is expansion and contraction of the light of God. So the people and time are used to explain it. The names are used to explain it. So you don't even have to think that they are people. These are the iterations of Adam. When it comes to the future, everything will be put in front of him. Kasha, there is no distinction, the upper time, and he gives dominion of time to the lower world. Yet in his time, it will happen, not in ours. All of the levels increased the Tzimtzum, and it appeared longer as it was stretched out. And he makes the statement about that I said last time about that the ants and the worms, they don't have bones and they live no more than 6 months. But to them, because they're the lowest, that's a long, long time. Therefore, the Tzimtzum rules over everything, rules over them and us. Yet time and people are only the garment of the Tzimtzum. Let's see here. He makes an example here of a sundial. If the hole was wider, it wouldn't help. The fact that time exists in the Tzimtzum. We talked about that with the hourglass. You know, if the hole was wider, there'd be no time. You know? This is why the first generation is also known by their time in the hundreds of years. Because long suffering, not as much Tzimtzum, close to a reek. Yet the more will be with Zah, and even more with the Malchut, the Nukva. So the shorter the time appears, so the short time appears to be long time. 70 is then a youth at their age, and goes according to everything we have said. So he had him at 105, which is prematurely as a kid, not as an elder. Just think about it. If you were 900 years old and you had a kid at 100, relative, you're a teenager. You're a youth. And why? And in verse 8, why is he missing 18 years? Verse 8. Enoch lived 815 years after begetting sons and daughters. He lived 905 years. He asked a question. Why is he missing 18 years? Maybe this is why they called him Kanan. Because Kanan is a form of Cain, the Guvarot. Because he is thinking, I will see 10 generations, and he will see Noah, because wisdom sees 10 steps ahead. There is an extra nun in his name, which is Cain with an extra nun, which is the secret of the 50 gates of Bina that will be drawn down from his side to fix his reality, and he will not be like Cain. Therefore, Orik Anpin sweetened his Guvarot, the holy Guvarot. Shituf will always give you 50 gates of understanding, and you will have to fix your own situation. We are not that smart. We are just that stupid. In Shituf. Behold, just like Cain preceded Abel, Kanan is the Guvarot that preceded Mahalel, which is the Hesed. You can hear it. Ma-el, the Hesed of Adam. Mahalel. Hillel means praise. So the Hesed to Adam is praise. Mahalel. Even through Enoch bore Kanan, even though it hinted that they were the two crowns. One the Hesed, one the Guvarot. But Mahalel is a tzaddik from the generation of Seth. The opposition to Mahu Yael of Cain. Mahu Yael is from the Hitzonim, the backside, whereas Mahalel is from praise of Hashem always, and he receives some good from Enoch. but received holiness from Seth. He bore the righteous Jared, which is the opposite of Irad, the wicked of Cain. So he counters the Hitzonim of Irad. Therefore, Jared did a great thing. Mahael repaired Cain, and Jared even more so. He merited Enoch. Now we're getting to our meat and potatoes here. He merited Enoch, who was a Malach. He was an angel. Jared was the most powerful good guy to ever live because of his tikkun of the Hitzonim. He was the first one to really do serious tikkun of the backside. This allowed Enoch to overpower them and to ascend to the heavens to the service of the Shekhinah. This is why he's called a youth, and we're going to get into this way deep in a minute. This is the secret of Jared's youth, his son, the Na'ar, which is Metatron. The hidden kasha. Why does the world need Hanuk? Why do we need Enoch? Because Cain brought horrible evil into the world called Enoch, his son. Jared fixed it and brought all the good known as Enoch on the front side. Not bad education, but good education. Therefore, Enoch married Methuselah, the tzaddik that countered Methuselah, which means hellish death, and clung to that tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Methshelah means deliverer of death, whereas Methuselah is not only hellish death or deliverer to death, but Methuselah means to cling to the tree of life. As you hear the word Selah all the time in Psalms, right? Da-da-da-da-da, Selah. We are finally ready for the tree of life. What has happened? It is the tree of death has now been removed. This is Enoch. Because Enoch and this iteration of Adam, the tree of death has been removed. And the tree of life now has happened. Don't think Cain is a completely bad guy. He was the legacy that would lead to the tree of life, because the klipa always precedes the fruit. From Enoch's kids, as it were, they were attached to the tree of life through Enoch. The Malach is serving on high. It is not without a reason to service of God on high. He was teaching the service of God with perfect union, though he merited it, and with great compassion. For a very long time of 300 years, he walked with Elohim. We learned last week that these 300 years he spent in the Gan learning with the angels. Why? Because he was one. Kasha, why does it say that he walked with God after Methuselah was born? The reason is well understood. For 65 years of the early generation was consumed like the days of young people. Therefore, in these years that preceded Methuselah, he was useless. The greatness had not attached, and he was in the stupidity of this world. This is why he was called the Na'ar, the youth. Because Mohin de Gadlut had not entered him yet. He did not have his expanded consciousness. Yet, it is the expansion of the Tzimtzum The Mohine is given at 20 now, as was 60, 70 there. However, there's another reason until after he bore Methuselah, because in those days, 65 years, he had to fix Malchut, because 65 is the gematria of Adonai. He is Adonai he is fixing the Adonai. Yud He Vav He, Adonai. Now, we got to keep reading this, right? This is called serving the weak, because it is weak in power, like a woman, because the Torah says they have a light da'at. That's why the Nakash went in through, they're seduced through Eve the rest of his life. So he was serving the weak the rest of his life. After fixing this world, he was preparing to fix the male in 4D, which was the 300 years he spent in 4D, and the 65 years because in this world, because Shin, Shemesh, the Shin is 300, which is the sun, S-U-N. All the days are 365, which is the number of days in a sun calendar year. And so he was taken at that time. Metatron went up and became and mastered the 365 days, and was the teacher and the teacher of this world. He learned everything of this world in the first 65 years and mastered this world. This is called the merit to teach this world. Whereas Elijah is 52. And therefore there are 52 weeks in the year. Shem Ben. He's from Shem Ben, where Enoch is Shema. Shem Ben is the light of the mouth. Shema is the light of the nose. And that emanates from the forehead. And behold, when this tzaddik created union and attached, this tzaddik was davek in his service to God, fitting, committed, complete tikkun of Zah and Nuk, with a plethora of holiness. No one was ever fit again to stand between them, because he brought them together. This is the secret of a tzaddik that stands between the two keruv and the ark, union. Therefore, one day, if you would look for him, you would find him. For him and God took him. One day, if you went to look for him, you wouldn't find him, for God took him. And his body and his nefesh to service for the Shekhinah. He was able to stand between them and unite them. He's not standing between them. He is the interconnection between them. You see, this is what he's explaining. Therefore, no one else can do this. The tzaddik. Thus, his was made a malach, because he connected the worlds, called Kohen Gadol, between the Keruvim, between the malach. If you say, how is this possible that his body went up to heaven? For nothing is physical in heaven. His body was switched, converted to spirituality, without any discomfort from being going up itself. It is what has caused it to switch. It's just going from light to light, from ayin to aleph. That's why when the angels come to speak with with Abraham, and the three angels came to speak with Abraham, and it says three men appeared. When that realm hits here, just like Elijah, it turns into a man. And this is where Christianity gets all its hoopidoo, right? Why? It's the backside of Metatron. There's a whole lot more. We could go on and on. How much time we got? A minute? Okay, we're going to go a little long today, not too much longer, but we need to read this. It's pretty short, but this is the meat and potatoes. And then we're going to finish with the Gemara. So we'll go about 15 more minutes. How about that? We're already sweating in here. The air conditioner broke. This is from the book of Malachim. Enoch walked with Elohim. Enoch served Hashem in truth, and he took him from the lower inhabitants and called him the great Sophar, Rabbah, the great scribe, his right-hand man, his secretary, so to speak. 9 entered the Gan while they were still alive. Enoch was the first. Elijah, and this is where all the Messianics love to get a hold of this piece. Mashiach. Well, what is Mashiach? Pinchas, Eliyahu, Mashiach. You see? These entered alive. Did Jesus die? Okay, so there you go. Eleazar, Eved Abraham, Hiram, Eved Melech, the Cushite, who saved Jeremiah, son of Rebbe Yehuda Hanasi. Bithia, daughter of Pharaoh, who married Shlomo. Sarach, daughter of Asher, who told Jacob Joseph was alive. And some say, this is the 10th. Why do you have to do 10? It's a partsuf. And some say Rebbe Yehoshua ben Levi, who tricked the angel of death to take him to the Gan. We've studied that piece in the Gemara. The Zohar says, this is the Enoch from the human side, from the good inclination, the good teacher as opposed to the bad one. Therefore, he walked with God and was taken. This is the Enoch that had his flesh turned into a torch of fire. This is called Zahara Ila'ah, which means supernal illumination. The Nefesh and Ruach and Neshama of Haya, of Atzilut, which is what Adam lost. So, Adam is this light that has these 10 partsufim in it that we're going to call the 10 generations from Adam to Noah. Okay? When creation happened and it separated he from his name, because Adam and Eve had to separate, Hasidim and Guvrot had to separate, what was removed from Adam when Eve was removed was his Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, who is called Enoch. Okay, here we go. This is what Adam lost. The lights that Adam lost is known as Enoch. He was an angel from the start, just like Adam. His flesh going from flesh to fire is only after the part that fell out of Adam. The Zohar Chadash from its discussion on Song of Songs says this: Adam and Enoch, because you remember Adam is Havayah, but isn't Metatron lesser Havayah? You see the equation now? Adam and Enoch, the Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, the Haya and Yechida, greater and lesser. When the Holy One created Adam HaRishon, he put him in the Gan with his illuminating garments, his Zahara Ila'ah. with this nefesh, ruach, and neshama. The Malach served him with all, and the angels, the Malachim, served him with all kinds of delight and pleasure. This was known as the garment of light, the light or, the garment of or, known as Zahara Ila'ah. When he was Hoteh, when he fell, the lights flew away and was hidden in a treasure house. The name of this treasure house is called the Goof. Goof is the word for body. Now, Adam, so look what God's doing. Okay, so he creates this thing. He has to separate all of it out. When he does, he's separating him from himself so he can see himself. But he's got to have a plan to fix it on that side, because he's got to fix it from that side. So he takes this part out, he sets it over here, and he's going to send this part down over here. And that part is him fixing it from the backside, known as himself, his lesser self, called Enoch, which is now, when he brings it back, it's Metatron. And he's over all the angels. Who's over all the angels? God's over all the angels. There is no such thing as Metatron. It's only God. But to talk about it, you have to see the pieces in 3D. But you always have to put them back in 4D. Because there's nothing here but God. Which means there's nothing here but Adam. Which means this whole story is the story of Adam. Every time it says, and God said to Moses, saying, who's speaking? Adam. If you think Adam is a man, you've already missed the entire point of the story. Now, when does now Adam gave birth to the generations, and Enoch came out the seventh, on the seventh day, on the seventh generation, on the seventh year, the seven in the 70. It's genius when you look at it, what God's doing. Enoch was born. Now he contained the Zahara Ila'ah. He was the Zahara Ila'ah. And Enoch lived with this higher consciousness of Adam. This is how the verse reads. Enoch walked with Elohim. They didn't hold hands going down the beach. And when Enoch walked, he was Elohim. With this, because he walked and he had this illumination. He had the Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama of Adam, of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, spelled with light, with the Aleph, with the 45 name. Because he walked and had this illumination, therefore afterwards, Hashem had to take him. He had to get his lights back. It's all about the lights. Because he now had to include this soul of Enoch in Histosalute in 4D to make the Zivug, because he had already fixed it on 3D, as we just read through Rawvole. This is the Zohar. And he brought it back because he was from above. And it had to return to the source, in order that afterwards it would draw the whole world as one draws after its own species. He was half human, half angel. He was all angel, all human. Depends on where you want to look at it. This is how Christianity has made a God-man. It's the backside of Metatron, the whole thing. If you take everything you know about Jesus and put it on Metatron, you win. Why? Like Cain is the backside, Yeshua is the backside. Yeshua is the Gilgal of the Egyptian that Moses killed. There was the Nefesh of Cain. Who did he have? The son of the Israelite woman. What did he do? Come against Moses. Who is Jesus? Son of the Israelite woman. Comes against Moses in the Torah. It's not changed ever. It's the same thing. It's only that iteration of light. And he's also the Gilgal of Gehazi, Elisha's #1 guy. It's easy to see once you understand what's going on. Where's the New Testament put in the back? Now, he was from above and had to return in order that afterwards it would be drawn, that we would all want to go. It's like a neural sheath. You know, you have a nerve, and then the covering of the nerve, it's covering the nerve, but it's not the nerve. But it's the thing that carries the signal. This is for the holographic interpenetration, because this world is the backside of the upper world due to the fall. Now he has both. God has got the front side and the back side wrapped up. Every time there are tzaddikim in the world, the Enoch channel of spirit and flesh is renewed. The penetration channel from here to there is open because of Enoch, because of Metatron, known as the Tzaddik, Malki Tzedek. The penetration channel that was constructed in this pathway, connecting 3D to 4D. Therefore, he is called the youth, the Na'ar. He is always renewing which is the secret of the moon. What does the moon do? It renews every month, from youth to full, to old, from waxing to waning. This is the code of the verse. As Proverbs says, educate the youth according to his ways. When he becomes older, he will not go away from it. The Zohar asks, what does it mean, educate according to his ways? Whose ways? Enoch's ways. Use the portal. This is called being born again. Youth, old, renewing, all the time. Go in the way of the truth. The term says, go in the way of truth in the straight and complete path. Why do they use this term, straight and complete path? Yosher is the straight light, which is Yesod to Tiferet. Complete is Shalom, sounds like Shalom, means complete. That's the Malchut. What does it mean when it will become older? Time has gone by, a lot of time since then, because Enoch was thousands of years ago. The Zohar says, don't say it was past time, because it's always here. Is it not so? All the time the tzaddikim are in the world, the there is here now. This is what he did, creating a path that constantly renews itself. What was Enoch's profession?
Cobbler.
He was a cobbler. He was stitching up 3D to 4D. He was always sewing it together, dimensionality. Let's see, where am I at? Almost done here. We're not going to get to the town, but we'll do the next one. And this will be seen in the image, the Yokna, the icon, in the projection. And it will be seen when one connects to Enoch, because of the interface he created, from below to above and above to below, because he was a cobbler stitching 4D and 3D together. When this is done, the lower realm will inherit the supernal dew, tall, and then bring into the world, and then this will be brought into the world through a person. It's going on all the time, which is called walking with Elohim, known as the Tzaddik and the Hasidim. Don't say it was then. When one is connected to it, it is here, attached to it. This is the force that it has, the koach. It is always operating. Just look at the moon anytime you don't believe. Which is educate according to his ways, renewing the youth. And the Torah is amazing, and the sages are amazing. And we will continue with Enoch maybe not next Thursday. I got to go out of town. Maybe week after next. I'll let you know. Y'all have a great week. Shabbat shalom, and have a good Sukkot.